In our last video, we asked the question, how do we live the more intentional life? And we're going to continue that question today. Now, in the last video, we said the first step in living the more intentional life is recognizing the arenas of life where we need to be more intentional, where we need to have more intentional action. And I said that for me personally, I had identified 10 arenas where I desire to live the more intentional life. And those arenas were thoughts and feelings, morals and character, actions and responses, health and wellness, relationships, finances, career, education and skill development, leisure and hobbies, and faith and belief. So these are the 10 arenas of life that I recognize and that I've identified for me where I desire to be more intentional, or you could say where I desire to live the more intentional life. Now, just knowing these arenas, or just being aware that these are different areas or arenas of life where we can be more intentional, is not everything you need to know to live the more intentional life. And today, I want to share with you the number one belief every person must have if they want to live the more intentional life. So let's talk about it. So what is the one belief that every person has to have if they are going to live the more intentional life? It is the belief that they have personal agency in all 10 areas or arenas of life. Now, what does personal agency mean? Personal agency is the ability to initiate and direct actions toward what you want. Personal agency is the ability to control your actions and your life circumstances. Personal agency means we are responsible for who we are, what we experience, what we do with those experiences, and how we shape our world and have the experiences that we want. I think of personal agency as this way. You have to understand that you are the captain of your own ship. And you are not always in control of what happens to your ship. A captain of a ship is not always in control of the weather or the type of seas that they might run into, but you are the one steering your ship, and you have the ability to steer the ship in a way that gets you to where you want to be. Now, this is a very important distinction. You're not trying to get personal agency. Personal agency is already something you have. You already have the ability to control your actions and to control your life circumstances. The founding fathers of the United States believed this, and they said that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that amongst these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The pursuit of happiness is your personal agency. It is you have been given by God your ability to control your actions in life. So you are the one in control of your ship. You are the captain of your ship. So we're not trying to get personal agency. What I said was you have to believe you have personal agency. You know, some of the most miserable people in this world are those who believe they have no control over their life. It's people who believe that no matter what they do, somebody else is controlling what they experience. You see, if you don't have a belief that you have personal agency, if you don't have a belief that you really are the master of your own ship and the captain of your own ship, you will never set out to live the more intentional life. I mean, what's the point? If you believe nothing you do can actually affect where you go and what your life becomes, then you're never going to put in the effort to do the things necessary to get to a certain place. And so that's why this belief that no matter what happens around me, I have some level of control. I have some level of personal agency. You have to believe that if you're going to step out and live the more intentional life. You know, I think it's so vitally important that we are very careful not to instill in people that they don't have any agency, that they don't have any control. If I could just be real with you for a moment. Life is not always fair. And I understand that sometimes, due to your color of your skin, due to gender, due to your socioeconomic situation, sometimes parents have to prepare their children for the real world. And sometimes parents have to teach their kids not everybody's going to accept you. They have to teach their kids that you don't have all the advantages that somebody else might have. That's a reality and we should prepare our kids for that. But it is so vitally important that in doing that, we don't cause our kids to believe that they are just victims to circumstance, that they don't have any personal agency. And that's really what has happened a lot in this nation. We have gone to an extreme in trying to deal with inequality, in trying to deal with the realities of racism or bigotry or any of those things. We somehow got to the place where there are people who believe no matter what I do, they're always going to keep me down. The man always is going to keep me down, whoever that man is, right? Whether it's government, whether it's white middle-aged Americans, whether it's the titans of industry that run capitalism, whatever it is, when we instill into our children, there's nothing you can do to succeed, then they throw up their hands and they just give up. What is the point of me trying if nothing I can do can overcome the situation I'm in? Now, as a whole, as a nation, we ought to be addressing inequalities. We ought to be addressing racism, bigotry, and things of that nature. But when it comes down to the individual, we have to be real. We have to understand and recognize some people have more advantages than other people. But in communicating that, particularly with our children, we have to also be able to communicate, but that doesn't have to hold you back. We have to be able to communicate. You might have more obstacles to go over than others. You might have more trials than other people have to go through, but you have the ability to do it. You have agency in this. You can learn what you need to learn. You can learn the skills you need to learn. You can take what God has put in you, and no matter your situation or circumstances, you can succeed. And we need to teach our children that if you're somebody who, due to your circumstances of life, you don't have those advantages that other people have, all that means is when you do succeed, your success will be that much more sweeter because you'll know what you went through to get there. The fact that you didn't have all the advantages, that just means that when you do succeed, you're going to be a greater example to other people who might be in the same situation you were in. So we're realists. We understand the inequalities. We understand all this stuff, but we have to be so vitally careful that we don't get to a place and we don't instill into our children, there's nothing you can do to succeed. Because if you don't believe you have this personal agency, you'll never step out to do the amazing things that you are capable of doing, and you'll never see the success that you're capable of receiving. No matter what situation you're in that makes you think you don't have advantages, that makes you think you can't succeed, whether it's the color of your skin, whether it's the fact that you're a woman and people have told you all your life women can't succeed in that area that you're wanting to succeed in, whether it's the fact that you grew up poor and on the wrong side of the tracks, I guarantee you, no matter what your condition is that is causing you to think there's no way you could succeed, there's been somebody who was in the same situation or worse who has succeeded. Why? Because we have personal agency. Now, they had much more obstacles to get over. They had much more that they had to do, but they were able to succeed, and they are an example. They are proof positive that no matter where you come from, if you will take the personal agency that I believe is God-given, then you can succeed in any area of life. Now, because I'm a Christian and I believe that we are created in the likeness and image of God, this is not just a pump you up, rah type of statement. I believe you can succeed because I know that the image of God is in you. When people talk about that humans are just more highly evolved animals, it boggles my mind that somebody can say a thing like that. Look at everything that the human mind has been able to accomplish. I mean, in just a few decades, we went from, barely being able to fly an airplane to putting people into space. I mean, the human mind, it's only limited by your belief in its limitations. I believe you can learn anything you need to learn. I believe that you can accomplish anything you set out to accomplish, not just because I'm trying to pump you up, but because I believe that there's something inside of man that is different than all other parts of creation. I believe that you can succeed, but you have to believe that. You have to believe that no matter what is stacked against me, I still have personal agency. I still have the ability to control how I respond, how I act, and ultimately I can get to whatever area that I desire to do. I can succeed in any area I desire to succeed in. Now, when you say something like this, there's always going to be people who make excuses. And I recognize that there are situations and circumstances where some of your personal agency is taken away. Now, I do believe that if you have the freedom and the ability to watch the message that you're watching right now, then you have much more personal agency, much more control over your success than you think you do. But let's look at the extreme. There's an author named Viktor Frankl. He was an Austrian psychologist, and he wrote a book entitled The Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl went through World War II. He was taken to a concentration camp. He had a lot of his personal agency removed from him. He had a lot of his freedoms completely stripped. He was literally stripped of everything, even the clothes on his own back. Now, that is a situation that I believe most of us have never even gotten close to. Now, I'm not trying to diminish what you go through, but I'm saying most of us will never understand exactly what Viktor Frankl and millions of other people experienced in these concentration camps. And one of the things that he ended up writing, and he ended up saying one day, he said, "The one thing you can't take away from me is the way I choose to respond to what you do to me. The last of one's freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given situation." So even in the most dire of situations and circumstances, really in situations that you and I could probably never comprehend, he's saying, I still have some personal agency. I still can choose how I'm going to respond. And if you read some of his books and some of the things he learned going through that situation, he said many of the people that he saw survive those concentration camps did so because they latched onto purpose. They latched onto some form of meaning of life. He said the ones that lost their life the quickest were the ones that just gave up on life. That the ones that felt, I have no control over anything anymore. They lost all hope. They were the ones that died the quickest. Now, I'm not saying everybody who died in the concentration camps gave up on life, but I'm saying this is somebody who experienced this. And he went through things none of us could ever really fully understand. And he said, basically what he was saying is, I still have personal agency. So what about you or me? We're not in that situation. But do you believe that you can make the decisions in life that will cause you to get ahead and to be promoted and to eventually succeed in life? Because that is a required belief for you to live the more intentional life. If you just believe there's nothing I can do, that the world is stacked against me, and no matter what I do, somebody's not going to let me succeed, well, then you're not going to live the intentional life. And there are probably millions of people on this planet who are in that state. They are in the miserable state of saying nothing I do will matter to my life. But I'm telling you, it does matter. I'm telling you, you need to believe that no matter your situation, no matter your circumstances, no matter your condition, you have the power to begin to make decisions to get out of that situation. You have the ability to learn anything you need to learn. Everything can be figured out. There is an answer for every situation for your personal life. I'm not saying we're going to magically wake up tomorrow and racism is going to be fixed, or there's going to be no more bigotry in the world. But I'm saying in your personal life, you can begin to live the more intentional life, and you can begin to come out of any situation and any circumstance. And if you don't believe me, go find the person who was in your circumstance that did it. I guarantee you, you can find somebody who was in the same situation or worse, but you have to believe it. You have to believe I can take the steps needed. Now, you might not even know what the steps are. At this point, all we're talking about is you need to believe that you are the captain of your own ship, that you're going to figure it out, that you're going to learn the skills you need to learn to pilot your ship to wherever it is you want to go. That is the belief you have to have if you want to go out and live the more intentional life.